a city killer asteroid with a potential explosive power of 500 Hiroshima bombs that would totally eliminate a city the size of New York, Los Angeles, London, Beijing, Paris, Moscow, Washington, D.C., to include everything inside the Beltway, and in some, the environments around these cities would be at grave risk. The 22nd of December, 2032, just a little over 7 years from now. The probability of this strike is existent. It is a fair probability. It's still more chances not than it would hit, but we're talking about probabilities that over the recent days of the study have actually been increasing, which is a little bit of an anomaly. Usually when you find something, the probability goes down. The expectation is it will still go down, but right now, the latest I have seen is a possibility of like a 1 in 53 chance that this thing would hit. So the chances have been going up from 1.2%. Now we're, excuse me, 0.01 percent. So guys, the probability of this thing hitting are within the 1%, 2% range. Like I said, between 1.2 now going up to possibly 1.8%. So this is something to pay attention to. It is a real possibility. And the good news is it's going away from us. The bad news is that we only have maybe 2 month window to really study this thing and learn as much about it as we can. It's on a 4-year orbit around the sun, so it's going to come back around in 2028. And in 2028, that's when we need to take action if we're going to keep it from hitting us in 2032. Can we be prepared in just 4 years to deal with this asteroid? 4 years is a very short window to deal with something like this in terms of aerospace program planning and all these things. We know that we had the DART mission a few years ago, which I carried live on this channel, showing the impact with NASA's DART mission on an asteroid that deflected it. And so that was a major impact. There's more science coming out on that. Maybe I should do another report on that soon. And we also know that there's a possibility in 2182 that asteroid Bennu could strike the Earth. That's like 1 in 2,700. Very small probability, but if it should hit, it would end civilization as we know it. It wouldn't be a dinosaur killer. It wouldn't extinct us, but it would shatter our fragile civilization. But this one, hitting a city wouldn't end our civilization, but it would be a major catastrophe like of which we've never seen on our planet to date. And it could have maybe some slight climate effects, maybe like the year of 1917, the year without a 1817, the year without a summer, as it was reported, and we might have some crop failures and things like that should it hit the ground or cause a major fire in a city or some other environment that put a lot of smoke in the atmosphere. That's stretching a little bit, but destroying a city is definitely within the realm of possibility should it hit one. Now the good news is most of Earth is ocean, and on top of that, even on land, we have a lot of vacant land, desert, tundra, like the 1908 Siberian explosion. Fortunately for us, that was in a very remote region that took about 20 years for a crew to even get in and find the results of where that thing hit. And what they found was shocking. The trees were still flattened 20 years later. So we're talking something that we have to take seriously. We have to figure out what we're going to do. Are we going to do something about it? And there's also the possibilities of, well, if you try to stop it from hitting and it accidentally hits another place, then are you responsible for that in that place? Is there a liability concern with something like this? So whatever you do has to be done quick and has to be done with high reliability. Like I said, it is presently going away from us. And so we only got a couple more months to fully characterize the orbit. Once we do that, then we'll know better what the probabilities are that we would be hit the 22nd of December in 2032. Now that is a just very short window, very short window. Like I said, in 2032, when it's coming right at us, there's not much options other than maybe sending a nuke up to it, which, for a smaller asteroid might be a better problem. For a really large asteroid like Bennu, you might be turning a rifle bullet into a shotgun blast. But for an asteroid like 2024 YR4, it might be an effective approach. There's always the notion that you could do a standoff nuke, vaporize on the surface, and use that. Vaporization off the surface would put an impulse on that asteroid, which could change the orbit if it's needed. But you've got to be precise in how you do these things. It's going to take some real good skills, or maybe it'd be a deflection mission like the DART mission, if we could pull it off fast enough. And that's a big if. That's a big if. So let's kind of look at this thing. Let's look at some of the data on them. Do a share screen, and we're going to have a gander at what we're facing here. So here we go. Now, as I said, the estimates for this, have been going kind of against the grain in that they've been going up a little bit. This report that came out on CNN had it coming in at a 1.2% chance. Then a few days later, another report comes out saying, "Oh, well, the odds of this city killer hitting us have gone up. It's now standing at it was 1.2%. Now it's standing at a 1.3%. As you can see here, of a direct hit on Earth. You can see right here, 1.3%. So, I kid you not, the estimates have been going up. And the latest, according to this report, this is just out a few hours ago from Jet Propulsion Laboratory, NASA's JPL laboratory, they're saying a 1.6%. Now, like I said, some of the estimates have said 1 in 53%, 1 in 53 chance odds of it hitting us. That's actually a 1.888, almost 1.9, almost a 2% chance. This is not trivial at all. So what this comes out to is it puts it on level 3 of the Torino scale. The Torino scale is a scale that is used by the astronomy community to estimate the risk associated with an asteroid strike. It plays probability of strike against the actual size of the asteroid. And you can see it here, they're tracking the movement, and you can see a few places on this photograph here where they're tracking the movement of this asteroid. Let's see if the Torino scale is here. I think it is here, or one of our other, or here we are. Yes, the Torino scale. So it's down here on the bottom. And the reason it's on the bottom of the scale has got more to do with the size of the asteroid than anything else. This is, the probabilities here on this scale here. So it puts us in this category. Whereas a Chicxulub event, and a real extinction level event would be like a number 10 over here. This is one that could wipe us. Actually, Bennu in size would fit in the lower realms of this. So, it wouldn't necessarily be an extinction level event, but in the civilization, definitely. So this is the Torino scale, which the astronomy community uses. Kinetic energy in megatons is what you got over here. So you're talking, somewhere between a little over 1 to 100 megatons. So, how did you come up with this? Well, it's mass times velocity. Kinetic energy is 1/2 mass times velocity squared, not just velocity, that's momentum. Mass times velocity squared. So the velocity is a primary energy component driving what you're going to see in megatonnage of an impact like this. Remember, the Hiroshima bomb was in kilotons, not megatons. Megatons 1,000 tons of TNT, where a kiloton, is 1,000,000 tons of TNT, where a kiloton is 1,000. So a megaton is 1,000 kilotons, just to give you an idea there. So we're talking some serious prospects here. So never fear, ESA's monitoring this. Well, we need all the monitoring we can get from everyone to try to get a good handle on what's happening. And some scientists are joking about it, say, "Hey, it was nice knowing y'all." And I saw one article, I'm not going to post it, saying, "Hey, man, it put us out of our misery." No, it won't put us out of our misery. It won't wipe out mankind, but it would increase misery. So, this is kind of a tongue-in-cheek. You got to find humor in everything a little bit. So, again, it says it's on the Torino scale. This is a reference to the DART mission. You can go back in my files on my Galactic Greg's channel here. I'm Greg Allison with Galactic Greg's, and you can find coverage of our impact with DART. And I need to do a post-impact analysis of that in some future video. This is the actual asteroid here, orbit plot of it, not the actual asteroid. This is what the orbit looks like. And like I said, it comes around every 4 years. As you can see, this is the orbit of Mars. You got Jupiter out here, and so you can see the inner planets. So it goes inside the orbit of Earth, not quite the orbit of Venus, but inside the orbit of Earth and Mars, definitely. And it's making, not such close pass this time, but it could actually hit us. It's going to be really close in 2032, which is a short time from now. To give you some comparison, the Tunguska event occurred the 30th of June in 1908. Now, they think these impacts happen every few hundred years, an impact of this scale. This thing is said to flatten the Tunguska event, over 80 million trees over 2,150 square kilometers, a huge forest area, caused a fireball brighter than the sun. Anyway, so this was a major impact. I got a blow up picture up here somewhere, I think, right here. Yeah, there you go. This picture was taken, and you start to see some other new trees growing. This was taken 20 years later. And no, that's not an impact crater. This thing blew up in the atmosphere. So it might be a bigger risk if this thing actually reaches the ground. That's going to depend on a lot of factors, whether it blows up in the atmosphere or the ground. If it blows up in the atmosphere, it probably covers a larger area of destruction immediate. But if it hits the ground, it's got more chance of kicking up more dust and other such nasty stuff. So bear in mind now, a ground impact, would be devastating. I mean, like, the meteor crater here in Arizona, where I'm at, it's not far from me. Meteor crater is not very far from my present location. I am in Arizona. I call this Mars Base 1 because I'm off grid and everything's got to be brought in. It's kind of like a Mars base in some ways. Guys, this is, I'm in the desert and the soil's red. It makes me think of Mars. Except I got these big giant broccoli plants growing everywhere they call juniper trees. So, seriously, guys, we have a short time to ascertain this orbit and as much data as we can about this asteroid. If you're going to do an asteroid deflection mission, it's important to know, is this asteroid a rubble pile like Bennu and many of the other bigger asteroids we've seen, or is it a big solid chunk of nickel iron? A big solid chunk of nickel iron definitely would strike the ground. So we don't know if this thing, whether an asteroid strikes the ground or explodes in the atmosphere, is a function of its atmospheric dynamic withholding strength. I don't remember the exact term from that. Dr. John Lewis, and here in the University of Arizona, has written several books on these topics, and I've got them packed away in storage somewhere. But he's done quite a bit of analysis on this. And what it is that it depends. If the force on the asteroid as it's coming in through reentry exceeds the strength, the ability of the asteroid to maintain its integrity, it explodes. And that depends on what level that happens at. It depends on what kind of asteroid it is as to whether or not that happens. Now, if it's big enough, even the dirty snowball, like a giant comet, can reach the ground and make a strike, just because it's just so big. But an asteroid this size is quite probable, especially if it's a rubble pile, to blow up in the atmosphere. But that's not a given and not a known. We had a nickel iron asteroid strike close to where I'm at, as I mentioned earlier, Meteor Crater. Maybe I should go there one day and do a video and talk about asteroid strikes from Meteor Crater itself. It's really close. It don't take me long to get there. So that asteroid probably wiped out when it struck here in northern Arizona, everything within the area, including where I'm at now. But, that's just a random probability where something like that hits. So this is a thing that we've got to be aware of, and we need to make a lot of really quick, good decisions to deal with this. Will we do it? Are we up to the task? There's that old adage, well, if the dinosaurs had a space program, there'd still be dinosaurs today. And the reason we don't have them is they didn't have a space program, as far as we know. Thus, we have had a space program, just about well, actually, I was born before we flew the first man in space, but the first satellite flew before I was born. So we've had a space program my entire life, but we're not been up to the task of actually doing a tactical, actual combat, whatever you want to call it, mission to be able to deflect an asteroid. We did an experimental one in DART, but that was planned over many years. How do you deal with something like this? Like I said, the window is short. We've got to be able to react quickly if we're going to mount an asteroid deflection for this asteroid. Will we do it? I don't know. We certainly ought to have something in the planning stages, but like I said, it would need to be ready to go by 2028, just 4 years from now. Will we pull that off? I'm kind of skeptical about that at this point. Now, in a few years, once we get really, if we can get space civilization running where we actually have infrastructure in space mining like on the moon, and we get enough things up there, it becomes an easier proposition. If you had things like the New Glenn and starship fully functional, where we got a lot of ability to get a lot of things in orbit on a short notice, and the space industry expands, then we have more capacity to deal with it. We might be able to send a nuke up to it, but that's not a guarantee. And it's not a guarantee if we did that, we would do it right. Like I said, you could get more liability on you, like especially if it would have hit the ocean, and but yet your impact on it causes it to hit somewhere else, then you're not in good shape. So this is something we've got to pay a lot of attention to, and hopefully we will make the right decisions. I know that's been looked at as much as they can. They're training telescopes on it and everything else. So let's hope that they get the right data, and let's hope that typically as we get more data and are better able to plot the trajectory, the probability of impact goes down. You might remember Apophis was once thought to have had a bigger chance of striking us than 2024 YR4. And once we sharpen our pencils, we say, it's not going to hit us. Not at all. We don't believe that the Apophis is going to strike Earth. But, these are things we've got to pay a lot of attention to. Now, here's another thing: as asteroids travel around, there are perturbations from other planets and things that affect the orbit a little bit, but we should be able to rest in confidence of whatever data they get out of this thing over the next couple of months. But our window is short. So pay attention, be ready. Prepping is always in order for any kind of natural catastrophe. This would be a major natural catastrophe. If you thought you would be directly in line where this thing would hit, then you need to be able to know you might need to get out of Dodge. Now, I think the impact line for this does not presently, they're not estimating it's going to hit the United States as far as I know. But, guys, it's, they're talking the Pacific, South America, Africa, the Atlantic. That's where the arc is. They think it would probably hit on the 22nd of December in 2032. But that doesn't mean it couldn't have a huge major impact. And it doesn't mean they're absolutely right on that either, as of yet. So we'll see more as we get a better picture of the orbital parameters of this asteroid. So, my friends, stay tuned. I will bring you more on this, and we'll have to talk about asteroid Bennu. There's a lot of stuff about asteroid Bennu that's worth talking about, including all the basic ingredients for life found in asteroid Bennu in just a few grams of samples. We're living in exciting times for space discovery, space technology, space development, astronomy. We're discovering a lot of new stuff really fast. So I hope I'll be able to bring you more of that. So subscribe to my channel, bang the notification bell, and click all. And with that, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. Greg out.